Hey everybody, welcome back to Grumpy Acres. Well, it's October the 12th and it is a gray and overcast day. We're in for a real gully washer tonight apparently. I know it's been a while since we put out a video, but things have been really busy around here as you can imagine. I thought I'd take this time. Yoda is taking a trip into the city. She had some business she had to take care of and a meeting she had to attend. So I'm out here by myself tonight, and I figured I'd give you a quick tour of the property and just give you some thoughts on what's been going on for the past week and a half. So like I said, it's October the 12th, and we've been in the new property for a week and a half now. And it's been very emotional to say the least. There's been a lot of stress and missing the animals and wondering, what we're going to do just because there's so much to take care of. And you'll see that here in just a second. But first, here's the new entryway. So this gate right here, we had to put this in because the previous owner had a problem with thieves coming on the property. They found out that the house was listed, and they were coming in and they were stealing all kinds of stuff. And we talked to him before we closed, and he allowed us to put the gate in. So we keep that locked most of the time, just to let people know. And we've got the private property signs on it. I hate having to do that, but that's the type of world we live in. There's people that do stuff like that. So then, over here behind me, you can see that is a bamboo grove. And at one point they were growing it, and it just ran rampant, and it just has taken over that corner of the property. So we have to figure out what to do with that. I've been reading up on how to turn that into a revenue stream, and it looks like we'll be able to do it. I mean, we're not going to be able to do anything till next spring, but hopefully we can turn that into a revenue stream. And then we come over here, and we'll show you the outside of the house first. So there's the house. Well, that's part of the house. So if you look right here, the blue portion of the house, that is stick built, and that's about 1,300 square feet. And if you look at the white portion of the house, that is a steel building, and it was one of the first steel buildings in the state of Kansas that was rated as residential. And so that house was built in the 50s, and it's made out of steel. And the previous owner said that at one point one of the neighbors had gotten mad at his dad and had shot at the house, and it didn't penetrate. So I don't know what he was shooting at it with. I know modern arms. I know a 5.56 will zip right through there. We thought it was AR-500 or AR-400 steel, but we started looking at it, and it's not. And we'll give you a tour of the inside of the house later on. Right now, there's boxes and stuff over, and we've been doing some rehab. We've actually shot some videos, but we wanted to give you a tour of the outside of the house first, in order to preface what we did on the inside, because we've already done some rehabbing and fixing stuff up. Then in the yard, we've got this cottonwood tree. That thing's about 120 years old, and it's leaning. So I don't know if we're going to take that out or not. I know that maple tree over there in the corner, that one's coming out sometime this fall or spring. And then it's running on propane. There's actually another propane tank over there in the woods that we're going to get pulled out and rehabbed, and we're talking about moving the propane tank someplace back towards the back of the drive so that they're not up against the road. Okay, and here behind me is the 30 by 50 outbuilding. As you can see, there's all kinds of trash sitting in front of it. That is all stuff that I have pulled out because there's absolutely no room in there for us to put our stuff. So I've had to pull things out. I've been burning stuff every night, and this is all stuff that's waiting to go to the dump or get recycled. There's a whole bunch of old metal in there. And so that's one thing we got to do before we can bring all the rest of our stuff over from other places, is we have to get that place cleaned out first. And then let me show you the door. Remember I was telling you about the thieves? Well, somebody about 3 weeks before we moved in decided they were going to try to get into the outbuilding. So they took a side cutter tool and came out here and just cut that lock out and boogered up that door. I don't know how much it's going to cost. Probably from what I'm seeing, it's probably going to cost me close to $1,000 to fix that, unless I decide to go a little bit more low budget and just fabricate something on site and just cover that hole and put a new lock on. And then over here, there's the side of the stick-built house. That big concrete block right there, that is a storm shelter. The deck over here, there's Manny and Gizmo are sitting right there. Hey Gizmo, say hi to everybody. Go hi everybody. Oh, she's tangled up. And there's Manny. Go hi Manny. He's not looking too happy right now. So that's the livable side. There's a kitchen, a living room, and a bedroom and bath right here. Then we come back over here. We come over on the side of the property. Okay, look at this. So this is what I've had to deal with. See that buggy right there? So the day that I went back into the city to get more stuff in the 26-foot U-Haul truck, Yoda went to an auction, and this is what she bought. And her and all our friends thought that would be a great big funny joke on me. And needless to say, I didn't think it was too terribly funny, because I told her it needs to be sold. So we're gonna sell that as a profit, at a profit. Let's go over here and let's go walk the property a little bit. So as you can see right up close to the house, there is all kinds of stuff. Property was not maintained. There's a fallen down shed with all kinds of wood all over the place, and then there's a pile of wood there, and then there's the back of the outbuilding with these. I'm not really quite sure what type of willow trees those are, but those are coming out, or at least getting trimmed back. And then at one point there was an orchard here, and as you can see, this peach tree, a little bit worse for wear. It needs to be trimmed up. But we've got apple trees that are producing. We got some Granny Smiths, and we think those are Red Delicious. We're not quite sure. Not Red Delicious, Jonathan's, but they're tiny. They're about that big around. And then these two tall trees right here, those are pear trees that apparently at one point produced a lot of food. Now, one of the things we did do in the last week is we got some trees planted, and they're a little worse for wear right now. They were in a greenhouse and they got stressed out. But we planted 8 trees. You can see there's some right here. We got 4 apple trees, 2 peach trees, and 2 pear trees. And we got them in the ground last night. I was racing a storm coming in, but I got them put in, and they're actually, believe it or not, from the looks of them, let's see if I can get up close and show you one. That's actually looking better than it was when I put it in yesterday. So it's all good. And then over here behind the trees, well, hold on, while we're talking about the trees, ooh, look at all those apples. Look at all those apples. And I'll tell you what, they are delicious. You know why they're so delicious? Because they're mine and they're free. They don't belong to the bank. They don't belong to anybody else but me and Yoda. So out here, and it's kind of hard to see because of all the weeds and stuff. At one point, they had a blackberry patch in here. And as I was planting these trees the other night, I found one single blackberry, and it was about that big around. So I gave it to Yoda, and she said it was the sweetest blackberry that she had tasted. So we're hoping to get all the weeds cut out and rehab this. We're going to transplant. As you can see over here, I still have to get these trees posts put in for them. But as you can see, I'm trying to cut lanes, and we're gonna transplant stuff out of where the lanes are into rows so we can get these going. And then we'll come back over here, and you can see, so all these blue barrels and the black barrels and the white barrels. So there's got to be like 100 of these things. And what the guy was using them for, here, let's walk over there so you can see him. But apparently he worked at a local pet food factory, and these are all food grade barrels. And what he was doing was he was using them as like tree rings. But you can see on some of them, the bottoms are cut out and the tops are cut out, so they're just nothing but a cylinder. So he was planting them, putting them in the ground, then planting trees in them so that the trees wouldn't spread out of them. But there's got to be 100 of them over here. So I got to figure out what to do with those. And then there's stacks of tires all over the place here. Let's see, right there. There's stacks of tires, and there's these stacks of wood. So I have to go through and figure out what's salvageable and whatnot. I think the tires, I had planned on building a pistol/rifle range, and I was going to use the tires as the backstop for the range. I think that's a good way to reuse them if I can't pay somebody to haul them off. And then there's like there's a pontoon here. There's a regular boat trailer up there that doesn't have any tires on it, that's torn out. Now this is interesting. I can't remember what it's called. I think it's called a grilling. And anybody out there that knows can correct me on this. But check this out. So this is an old piece of farm machinery, and these bars right there got tines on them, and these bars spin and basically rake up the ground. And it's missing a tire. You see right there, it's missing a tire. But talking with a friend of ours, if we can find another, not a tire, a wheel. Tires have rubber on it, knucklehead. Anyway, if we can find another wheel, we're going to get it on there, and we're going to haul it up to the front of the property on the outside of on the road side of the fence, and turn it into a piece of yard art, or lawn decoration. They think it'll look really cool. But as we come over here, so this field, oh, I hear somebody driving by. So this field, at one point, according to the former owner, was a hay field, and it produced about 10 or 12 big round bales a year out of it. So we're going to try to rehab this. As you can see, there's all kinds of scrub trees and stuff all over the place. So we have to take those out and get it rehabbed. And the pistol rifle range is going to go right down. Let's see if I'm pointing at it right. It's going to go right down over here in the corner, back behind these evergreen trees. And these evergreen trees are growing up next to the pond. And so it's a decent sized pond. So as you can see, the pond right there. Now it's been silted up. We talked to a pond guy, and it's been silted up. So the plan is to have him come in the last part of November or first part of December and to cut the dam and drain the pond. And then that way it'll give it all next spring and next summer to dry up, and he can get in. What we're planning on doing is we're going to move this bank back over here into where these trees are. So we're going to expand the pond that way. Now I'm telling you these plans, and these are what we plan on doing. Now whether it happens or not, that's a whole nother thing. Life changes. So as you can see, there's more stuff over here. There's an old chicken coop here. There's a big stack of tires over here. This right here, that is an Isuzu B10. Used to be called a Love. Now, honestly, it's not interesting in itself, other than the fact that it's a long bed, which is very rare. I think what we were talking about with a friend of ours, he said that if the transmission's in place, that we could actually sell that and pay for a project to turn that long bed into a trailer, which I think would be really cool to have. It's about 6 feet long and about 3.5 feet wide, maybe 4 feet wide. It's not as big as a standard bed, but as you can see, so the pond is all silted up and all muddy, and we're going to do that, take care of that. And then there's another field over here behind the tires and all that, where I'm going to run the goats and the sheep. And then we come down here. I really don't feel like going into the woods right now, but back behind these trees behind me, it slopes down and then it's flat as a billboard all the way out to where the creek is. And we thought the creek was a year-round creek, but it's been so dry around here the past 2 years that it actually dried up, and it's actually a wet weather creek. So hopefully we get the rain and it'll start filling back up. But the ground out here, there's places where you can dig down 2 feet and it's jet black dirt, river bottom soil, and it's moist and it's hydrated like it's supposed to. And there's other places like up here where I showed you where those trees were planted, that it's hard as a rock. I had an auger out, and I ended up having to take a spade and just working to dig the holes for the trees. Hopefully we can rehab the ground and get it so it's all nice and soft and well done. But there's things like look at that pile of posts. Those are old tree trunks and stuff, but those are usable. I can turn those into posts for something. And we were talking about the barrels. There's enough there that I'm going to just take them and put them out by the road and put a free sign on them, and hopefully somebody takes them. But the ones that don't, I could turn them into compost, rotating compost bins. Try to sell those, turn those into a revenue stream. We were also talking if we can swing the money buying an inexpensive sawmill and putting a sawmill up over here in the corner, so we could turn that into a revenue stream maybe. There's just all kinds of possibilities here, and that's one of the reasons why we did this. We wanted to insulate ourselves against what we see is coming, and by doing that, we're not dependent on somebody else. The new job is going great. I love it. My boss actually asked me last week. He said, "So are you coming back? Have we scared you off yet?" And I looked at him and I said, "Oh, you guys are going to be hard pressed to get me to complain about this job, because for all intents and purposes, it's the same job I had before, only I don't have to travel 120 miles round trip to get to some of my sites that I handled. And I've got 3 people doing the job I was doing by myself. So I'm extremely happy with the job, Thanks, Milo.